Is sick and fucking tired of seeing all the carnivore shit all over these fucking apps.
All right, we're live. And we have an awesome special guest today, Keto Five-O, Eric Reynolds. We're just going to get right into it. Thanks for coming on the Meat of the Matter, Eric. We love to have these conversations with like-minded people and people that have done crazy healing. Their path is opened up, and you know, you're on Instagram and you got quite a big following, and we appreciate your time coming on to talk about all things of what you've done specifically.
Yeah.
And, you know, just have a cool conversation. I'm just going to go here for 2 seconds. There we go. We're good. Now we're live on Instagram as well. Okay. And yeah, man, how you doing, Eric? Thanks for coming on.
Doing good, man. I'm still fasting. I worked out today because I had all this nervous energy thinking about the show. So
awesome.
Even kept my wife away from me. I go, no, I need to be in training shape. So which is hard for a carnivore. You know that our testosterone goes up. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have the opposite. We got to work on home, right?
I'm at doing a little bit of research on yourself. So correct me if I'm wrong here. So are you still a police officer, or you're a former police officer?
No, I retired 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Okay. In 2012, you were shot, correct?
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, we're going to talk about that. You suffer from heart disease, PTSD. You were severely overweight. I think your heaviest was 245 pounds.
About 250 at the last doctor visit, but I think they add weight.
Wow. Hang on. Okay, you lost.
Let's show the picture now. So we have proof here. We have proof.
Wow.
So yeah, you can keep going, Mark. We'll just leave that up there let it soak in for a minute.
So then eventually you became a health coach. You're looking after people now in this field. And then you also have your own retreat program as well, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, we have so much to talk about, so
let's get into it.
Let's get straight into it.
So we were talking just before we went live, Eric and I, and maybe just if you can just refresh that sort of what led up to this new path.
Well, I was your typical guy, battled my weight my whole life. I played football, American football, so you know I was taught to eat a lot of carbohydrates, put on weight that way, and wasn't really taught anything about the ketogenic or carnivore way of eating. So that just carried into my 20s and 30s. And once I was, my mom was a police officer in Miami, she was hustling. So she kind of listened to the food pyramid that they had at the time, right? And I ate a lot of processed food. I was a microwave food kid, a lot of toxins, I'm sure, looking back. But anyways, by the time I got to my 30s and I became a police officer, those habits continued, and even though I trained and was playing basketball 4 times a week and I was a gym rat, I should look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was in freaking, remember Conan? As much as I was lifting stuff, right? And I didn't use anything to help out or anything. So it was just always me. And, over the years, I had that incident in 2012, a chase with a bank robber and shots were fired. And I took a shot through the foot and one off my leg. And we ended up putting the suspect down. And, I went through a whole path of PTSD. And then, every time I would go back out there, I was just in this hypervigilant state all the time. And I could never calm down my central nervous system. So drinking, eating bad food, the greasy stuff felt good, and I started blowing up. I didn't know how to talk about it in that world. You can't really go to your boss and say, hey, man, I think I'm going to kill some more people because I'm losing my shit out there, right? I'm sorry. And it's an uncomfortable, way to look at your career. So I kind of internalized it. And obviously, that made me metabolically sicker than I was. And 2016, my buddy Joe Crowder died of a heart attack. He was our canine guy out jogging, great shape. I went to academy with him and I was like, how did that dude die? What's going on with me, right? So that's when I started exploring red yeast rice because of my high cholesterol and how maybe I'll cut back from beer to vodka, and trying to do all these different things, right? So, come about 2018, I found myself like in that picture on that slip and slide, which that kind of hurts when you're that size hitting the slip and slide. 170, I could slide right down that thing right now, but it really was, Joe dying, what was I going to do with myself? I knew the drinking was an issue, but I didn't know the underlying cause really, and I just thought I can cut back calories like everyone else. Right. And then with this guy, he lost 50 pounds and he goes, man, I go, well, how'd you lose 50 pounds, Darren? You're grabbing the rim. He's like a 48-year-old guy like myself at that time. He's like, man, I started doing the ketogenic. And I was like, what? And I didn't understand it. I thought it was CrossFit, some new horrible thing. I always say like lifting tires or chasing him down the hill or something awful. And I looked it up and I started looking at, understanding it, really understanding the fat and, the whole macros and all that stuff. And I was a novice. I mean, I knew how to write search warrants, how to arrest people and stuff, but I didn't know how to read my blood work. I didn't know what any of this stuff meant. So guys like Dr. Ken Berry, Paul Saladino, Nina Teicholz, I started taking a little dive into that world as I was doing keto. And 6 months later, I was down 50 pounds, and I mean, I can keep going how guys started noticing. They nicknamed me Keto Five-O at the PD, started helping records and dispatch and other agencies. So when I retired in 2019, I said, I'm going to get into this coaching world and really start helping first responders. And I never realized at the time my brain was healing and recovering from the trauma that I'd gone through. And, the alcohol battle took a long time, it took through 2023 when I was able to finally let that go. Yeah. And I'm still healing from it. So, I mean, there's a whole world of heavy metals, mycotoxins, Lyme disease. I found out so much with this whole thing and a calcium score that's out of this freaking world. Yeah. I think I'm one of the highest scores around that I've seen. So it's pretty, pretty wild. Let's get into it. What do you want to ask?
Man. First, you said something there that I think like it relates to a lot of people in this world, what they think is healthy. And once you start digging down the metabolic side and all the possible environmental stuff, we realize that just because somebody looks healthy doesn't necessarily mean they are. And you even in the pandemic, like you saw people, healthy people are dying from this too. And my question is, were they really healthy? Just maybe on the surface level, they look great, but we don't know what's going on under the hood. And it seems like you've been digging deep into the other stuff that matters.
I was a self-conscious guy my whole life. I always had a belly. No matter how much I worked out, I wasn't confident, taking my shirt off at the beach and stuff. There'll always be a more ripped guy around hogging that up, right? And it was just, I was never comfortable. So I'd always thought about it. I'm like, what if I got ripped one day? How would I do that? And I never really knew I could have been enjoying steak and eggs all this time, right? So I started noticing people inflamed everywhere I went too. When I started healing, you could see it. You could see it in their face and the way they moved, and you're like, wow. Even at the gym, the way they train, I'm like, dude, if you just lay off the carbohydrates, you come back in a month, that exercise, you'll be freaking nailing it, and it's just, yeah. So you do take a deep dive. I'm sorry.
Sorry for interrupting you, Eric. And it's such a pity that we don't understand that, isn't it? Because when like Tony mentions, when we look at what's going on in the world at the moment, we know it's the wrong message because everybody's just focusing on calories. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, it doesn't matter what kind of food you're eating. But people have no idea because we always hear this term of fat is going to make you fat. This is what we always hear. But people have no idea what carbohydrates are doing to the body. They have absolutely no idea the damage, what it leads to. This is the information that we're listening to, unfortunately. We all know that everybody can lose weight and be in a calorie deficit and look absolutely amazing. But if you're losing weight and you feel horrendous, well, then you're obviously not healthy.
Wow. Yeah. I'll give you a star for your show. One of the things for me was understanding high fructose corn syrup. Once I took a deep dive with that and like Dr. Robert, was it Lustig?
Lustig,
really understood the difference between sugar and what this high fructose corn syrup was doing to me. Now, once in a while, if something has a little cane sugar in it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's that other toxin. I was like, oh my God, it's in everything. Sausages, your breakfast sausages and all kinds of craziness that, that was the big one for me. I understood how it affected my body on a physiological level. And I was like, wow, that's wrecking my system. Yeah. Every time I put that in my body. So,
his book Metabolical, I think, like for people that want to get into like why it changed my life too. Like that was, and it's like the high fructose corn syrup side is like the seed oils. it's unnecessary. It doesn't matter if it's okay or not. Like this is something that was manufactured in a, for a purpose, and it wasn't for your health. That's it. People say, well, it's not that bad if you can modify. There's so much great, but it's unnecessary. It was never in our food. It was never a thing. So, that's where people come at us with, like, in this space anyway, that, seed oils aren't that bad, but they were never around 250 years ago, let alone 100 years ago. They're unnecessary. They're not a part of it. And so it's not really, it's the wrong argument, I feel. And high fructose corn syrup is a huge deal. And you're right. It's in everything, and when you start stripping down that stuff, you're like, this is crazy.
And then it's the same with table sugar and cane sugar. Where does it come from? It's mostly in our plants and it's mostly in our fruits. This is what we're told. This is what we're told to consume.
Yeah. So it was a pretty crazy, like, it's, I kind of joke with people. I go, imagine everything that you believe in your religion is turned upside down. Yeah. That's how it was for me, with just like the food pyramid flipping up, like you saw in South Park. It was really like that. And then it was instant. The minute I changed my diet, pretty fast, the ketones start, flaring up, and I was just reading about the different foods, and what's in them, that I had a carb app or whatever that would scan stuff. And, I was like, wow, 2 pounds a week, was happening. And, once I went carnivore, the rest of the weight shredded off. I got the plants out of my diet, like got the cauliflower out, the broccoli out, the kale, all that crap. And then I just started meat, cheese, dairy, and I retired at that same point though. So I did let go of 20 years of stress as a police officer. Wow. So it was the perfect recipe. And I saw abs for the first time. I mean, I'm still self-conscious. I don't go around taking my shirt off. But my wife's like, God, I can't believe I'm married to a new man, because she's experienced both guys. My wife stayed this.
Was it an easy transition from keto to carnivore, or was it just it took a little bit of time?
I always say I'm more of a ketovore. I always added more meat. Like if any keto recipe said 1 pound of ground beef, and then it said all the cheese, I would do like 2 pounds of ground beef, extra cheese. So I was overdoing it. And I'd always see my protein going higher on my little app back. I only did that for 2 months. Once I trained myself, I kind of ate the same type of food and meal prepping and stuff. I knew the snacks. I knew when I kind of really took control. And I did the eating window. I mean, I did everything that they say to do, and it was very successful for me. It was easy for me to follow, like don't eat after 5. So I made sure I had food ready by 4:30. Just a little discipline. My job makes me disciplined. My life has kind of done that. So I was able to make that. I know a lot of people have an issue with it, and that's what we got to work on. That's why I like showing up at your door and doing a Keto Five-O search warrant. Let's go in your pantry. And they're like, no. Yeah. You're like, Keto Five-O out. Okay.
That's, and it seems like a lot of people that get it, like once you start feeling it, like that's where you find your place with what works for you, and you take your power back. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, like, I can't tell you that salmon will make you feel good. We know there's nutrients in there. We know there's not a lot of anti-nutrients in there, but if you feel like shit eating salmon, don't eat it. Eat beef. You know what I mean? There's
and I'm the same. I always say to people, okay, don't take my word for this. Don't take if I'm lying, just do it for 3 months. Do it for 3 months and then get back to me. Provide me with an update how you get on in 12 weeks time. Because at the end of the day, like this is what frustrates me about the industry. We're forcing this on people. People are saying that, okay, you're like the vegans. Why don't you not allow people to eat what they want to eat? And I've always said, okay, listen, this is just information. This is just literally information. If you want to come back at me and say it doesn't work, well, make sure you come back at me with a reason. At least give it a go. Give it a go and you have to give it a go for at least 12 weeks. It's not going to be a quick fix.
So speaking of quick fixes, Eric, when did you notice like the trauma mind stuff starting to get better? Like, was that like right away when you started keto? Did the brain start lighting up, or was it a little bit later?
So I was shot in June of 2012, and I went back to the road 3 months later after I had to go through physical therapy and then, all the pats on the back, but then in the end, you're the one driving alone in a police car, right? Yeah. And every call you're just getting. So I was doing that for about 6 months. And then we had an opening in evidence. Nobody wants to work in evidence, right? First of all, people don't want to be tempted. They don't want to be tied to any missing evidence, right? They don't want to be indicted. And we've had that before at my department. So, matter of fact, one of the evidence before was stealing. So they ended up putting a sworn cop in there to make sure nothing was going wrong. And I was the perfect candidate because I only had 7 years left. I wasn't going to steal anything. I wanted that pension and run, you know, and I did my last 7 years there. So I also had different administrators coming in. Sometimes they didn't want to cop in evidence. So I started getting my up and down on my, oh, I'm going to go back out there. You know, it's like a poor vet that's suffering. He's got to go back to the front lines. You know, I was having this anxiety all the time. And I started looking at therapy, you know, through workers' comp, and ended up fighting with the workers' comp lawyers. Even though I got shot and killed a guy, they still gave me a hassle about seeking therapy. And I had to cry before a board of lawyers. I mean, it was a shit show. But I did it, and I finally got the therapy I needed. So with a combination of talking to a guy, I didn't need pills, you know, I didn't need medication. I needed to talk. I needed to cry it out, get it all worked out, right? So I was able to do that. And then about 2 years later is when about 3 years later, I found keto. And my doctor was like, just meat? And like, I don't know. Like, he didn't even believe it, you know, but he's seeing me shrink right before his eyes, right? So that's kind of, I would say, the therapy. And then changing my diet at about 2018 is when I started. It was pretty instant. I felt all of a sudden I wanted to work standing up, no longer sitting down. I had this energy, you know, and I was counting my steps. You know, and they're like, calm down, Eric, calm down. The ketones are just blowing my body up, man. I was just, and I knew something was up, and I felt fantastic. That was another thing. All my joints weren't hurting anymore. You know, you lose 50, 60 pounds, all of a sudden, all those inflammation areas start to lighten up a little bit. So yeah, I was fantastic until that calcium test.
Well, maybe we should get into that a little bit, because like if you look on Keto Five-O Instagram, that's a pinned one, and it's, you know, for the people that are sort of not in the know, they might be that's horrifying, like that's scary. So maybe you can talk us through that and that situation.
So I was going to my regular doctor, right, losing all this weight. Man, your cholesterol, Eric, it's over 300. We're really concerned. Your LDLs, you know, like I think at the time it was 230 or something. He's really concerned. And I'm like, man, but everything else is fantastic, right? My inflammation numbers are down. You know, I'm starting to read numbers, you know, figure out what they are. The little, you know, what I didn't know what anything was. Like VLDL. I had no idea. And so I started looking into this stuff. And then he goes, well, there is this test. It's called a calcium test where they measure a coronary calcium or coronary artery calcium.
Arterial calcium test.
So they scan you and they find out how much plaque you got and see if you're at a risk for a heart attack. So it's like, all right, let's do it. So it was weird though. I had to have his permission, still go pay $125.
Yeah, go figure.
Right. It's kind of weird. Permission slip, but you still got to pay for it. Yeah. Oh, okay, thanks. So I paid anyways. And a couple of days later, man, my primary doctor, the same guy who talked me into it, goes, Eric, oh my goodness, we got to get you to the cardiologist. I mean, I'm standing in my living room at that point. We're not RVing life yet. I'm still a cop. And he's telling me, I got to get you to cardiologist. It came back really high, like really bad. And I don't know if you guys know, but 0 to 400 is usually the range they work with. Mine came back 1,500.
Yeah.
So it was like 3 times the highest limit where they say you're freaking at a risk of dying. It's pretty much what my impression was. But I'd already seen some stuff about the hardening of plaque and stuff like that. So I was a little bit skeptical. So I went into the cardiologist and debated with him. Actually did record the conversation. I don't care, HIPAA. I recorded it. And and he's selling me on statins and stents, and you got heart disease, and what are we going to do? And I was just like, I don't know, man. And that whole back and forth thing. And I walked out and I was like, I'm done. I'm done with these guys. And then COVID hit. I retired, COVID hit. Never thought about it. Wow. So 2024, was it? Yeah, I'm at a conference and I see the great Dr. Philip Ovadia, you know, this great, you know, I fix hearts.
Yeah.
And we're shooting the heart in a circle. And I was like, yeah, I had a 1,500 CAC score 5 years ago. And I've been carnivore the whole time. And he's like, I wonder what your number is now. And a couple other people chimed in. And I'm like, man, I don't even have insurance right now, so I don't even know how I get that permission slip. And he goes, I'll take care of it. So he arranged me to get the, this prescription to go get it.
Yeah.
So I go get it, and I went to the same place I went last time because I try to go to the same place just because for the consistency.
For consistency, yeah.
And it came back 4,100 in 2024. So then it was like, what is it's freaking tripled from
I don't
being
mean to
carnivore.
laugh because it's really not funny, but it's like when I kind of know where you're going with this, and it's like, holy shit.
I'm like, did you guys add a 0 to that or something? It was just like crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I've already, I was following like Dr. Stephen Hussey. I've been following like all these different guys that have different perspectives on things. And I knew it was asymptomatic. You know, I knew I'm not up to my level of 25 years old when, you know, huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But I know I don't have any issues. You know, I'm not like, oh, I feel a little pain and stuff. So I was just curious. Well, why don't I feel some, or is the big massive one coming? That was the other worry, you know, and I got young boys. I'm like, oh my God, I've seen so many dead bodies in my life. I don't want them to find me like that with like pants down or something. Right. So I ended up getting some different testing done because Ovadia knew my blood work was pretty good, except for, you know, the BS cholesterol. You know, I think what was I reading the other day? Like all my inflammation was good. And he decided to go through he wanted to test me for heavy metals and mycotoxins because he's seen a lot of issues also with periodontal issues with his patients. So I did that, and it came back with arsenic, aluminum, and mercury, very high levels. And then it also was Lyme disease, which I never knew. And then I had mycotoxins from a lot of mold, like 8 different toxic molds. I was in the red.
Yeah.
So a lot of theory is when you're purging your body and you're losing all this weight, you're burning through old cells that are freaking toxic cells. So a lot of that's you're dumping that into your body. You know, I mean, depending on who you ask. I didn't do the right detox protocol. I went and got the mercury fillings taken out, like 6 of them. I had a big mercury reaction where my body swelled up in different weird places. And it was like, I got sicker that year. I think it was because maybe I shouldn't use a doctor that had a garage. I don't know. Like, you know, no, I went to a biodentist, but he was kind of an old guy. So I'm not saying he got it at all, but anyway, so the mycotoxin, I started just really cleaning up my diet. I got rid of the alcohol. I really just started eating a lot cleaner, you know, got rid of energy drinks. Once in a while I'd grab one, you know, I'm a sucker too. So, but overall, I just really ate strict, you know, my body, you can ask my wife, the sheets, I'd have these weird stains on my sheets. Like my body was just getting rid of everything. And it was almost like it's going through stages. Like it's getting rid of my teenage years now.
Yeah.
And then it's going to go to my 10-year-old years with the cereal and all that BS came in and Pop-Tarts, you know, and the vaccines, you know, every year you got to get them shots for school. And don't think that's not floating around in your system either, whether you're for it or not. It's still a toxin. So all this stuff was going on. So then we get through all that. Let's go get retested again. It's got to go down. It went up to 5,600.
Holy shit.
So that's 5,600. So I'm all these conferences. I'm sitting in the back. You know, I volunteer a lot. You know, I guard the door, make sure no vegans slide in. And they're like, yeah, 400 and 200. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 5,000. Like, you know. So then Dr. Ovadia sent me for a heart flow with contrast, where they inject you with dye, which is quite the trip. If you ever had that done, your whole body lights up on fire and all the sensitive spots are burning and you got to be still. So they did that whole scan and it came back. The worst artery I have is pretty much only blocked 30%.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any high numbers of any soft plaque floating around. So as of right now, there's no medical intervention that's needed. Yeah. You know, I don't need stents. Statins aren't good. Well, I'm already calcified. What are statins going to do? So I'm taking lumbrokinase, which this isn't, I don't promote them. This is just what I take. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this.
Yeah.
It's a version of natto.
Natto
it's supposedly 30 times more powerful. And of all you carnivores, this is actually from earthworms, not soy. So that's my little, you know, for the carnivore world. But I've been on that for about 6 months, 2 pills a day. You know, you got to time it because it is an enzyme. You know, and I've got some other fibrosis stuff going on. Like I got Viking's disease. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Dupuytren's.
No.
It's you get these like some of your audience will know, like 5% of the population has. It's big in Ireland and England and Scotland. It's like I call it Viking's disease. So it was in the Netherlands and all that stuff. So it's almost, you know, I can't like extend my hands to do yoga poses because my fingers pulling forward trying to just,
oh wow,
you know. Yeah, it's a really wild tale. If you look, and that's the one thing carnivore hasn't helped. It's still there. I still got to do certain massages. Happened in my late 30s, supposedly related to alcohol and stress and diabetes. So it's all that stuff that probably happened to me when I was metabolically sick, and nobody really told me.
Yeah.
So
It's
I went off on
close.
a tangent.
No, it's closely related to gout, isn't it?
Yeah, you ever heard of ladder hosen?
Yeah, I have heard of it. Yeah.
It's in that world. It's
Yeah.
also, because I got that in my feet too. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's related to my CAC score, because maybe there's some whole fibrosis stuff going on in the whole body, but other than that, I'm really healthy, 56. We travel in the RV around the country with our kids and we homeschool them. I mean, it's been
amazing.
Crazy journey. It's been amazing. I mean,
and
outdoors has helped me more than anything. Yeah.
Can I just touch on your career? I'm sure you would have seen a lot of this in your sector, where a lot of these people would have been severely overweight. They would have been sitting around. They would have been falling into depression. They would have had so much anxiety, PTSD.
They're all mad. They're all hangry.
Yeah, and I'm sure you would have seen this, like in the change or in the cafeteria. These people would have been eating like horrendous amount of food. What were these people saying to you when when you decided to become keto and then you became carnivore, and they were saying, okay, you're not eating the carbohydrates, you're not eating the vegetables? Like, what was the feedback?
First, they say, "Are you okay?" But you're glowing. You're not sickly, so they know something's up. I had a couple of guys, they'd walk by like, "What's going on? What's happening?" And I'm like, "Keto, baby," or I'd say something like that. I would just try to explain to people, because a big thing with us was our kids. Our kids eat very clean, and we go to birthday parties or we go to little get-togethers, and it's like, why don't you give your kids a pizza? Why don't you give them, a slice of this or that? And we always brought our own food. We were those people. We'd bring almond flour, freaking cake that we'd get from some brand that was less toxic, and let our kids enjoy the sweets while the other kids ate that freaking garbage. And we just stuck to our guns because we saw it. We tried it. All right, let them have a slice. And my kids were maniacs. It took 2 days to recover. So once you pull that stuff out and you see how it reacts to your kids, obviously it's easier for you not to do it or feed that to them. You get it out of your house. And that's what we tell parents now, like, oh, he won't eat it unless we put quick on it, quick powder. Fucking quick powder. It's freaking well, what happens if he doesn't? He's gonna eat. Eventually he will eat. Or she will eat. I mean, doesn't mean you gotta like feed him that kind of toxin. So yeah, my mom's pretty interesting story. She had a hard time with it at first too. It's kind of like that became more precious to us, our food, than religion did, because we were seeing true benefits from it. I'm not going against religion, but at the time I was like really strict on, I don't want that stuff, Mom, at Thanksgiving. And she was like feeling embarrassed, like other people were bringing dishes over and we're not eating it. And a lot of people go through that. You found this rebellion from the closest people to you, even though they seek success.
Well,
your biggest critic, right?
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny how when you have these epiphanies or you have these results, people love it when you cheat, or they love it when I feel awesome. Oh, come on, it's your birthday, or come on, just have this. You can have a cookie. And it's like, wow, I'm just telling you that this is poison.
Two things happen. Either they're eating something they know is bad and they'll look at you and they'll make an excuse. Well, I'm going to, I'll start Monday, or I know this is bad for me, dude, or if I do it, they're like, oh, look at Mr. Keto. Piece of cake. That's the two sides, but you just got to lead by example. And I try to educate a little bit at a time. My kids, I have a 14-year-old now, and the 10-year-old, they both got little YouTube channels that we have them running for business, they do little stop motion and stuff like that, action figure stuff. And they answer followers, we keep, we want them to be entrepreneurs. We don't want them to be regular people that just fall in line, that work for a police department and get almost killed chasing a bank robber for chase. Did they help me? When I reached out to them and said, hey, can you help me with my mortgage? I even took a bullet for you guys. So they don't care about you. So I'm preparing my boys. They're going to know the Constitution. They know how to shoot guns. They're going to be like little freedom fighters. And their mother is Turkish, so they do come from a Muslim background. So they got the Christian side, or some call me a pagan, and you got that side, and then you got my wife's side. They're well-rounded, and their diet has been huge. They don't eat the stuff that drives them up and down emotionally, and they stay well-regulated. They have their issues, like every boy. Like my 14-year-old's like turning into a man, but he's still 14. And the 10-year-old's a little more sensitive. So there's just things we work with, but overall, they know how bad sugars are and bad carbohydrates and all those, Doritos and all that stuff. And they're a little influencers, they're little friends. We see it when they're in their little homeschool circles talking, different ages. And you really see them just talking about, you shouldn't eat that, man, because it's not really nutritious, And I'm like, it's in their brain,
Yeah, man. Well, I think back to just all of us when we're growing up, like how often were we thinking you just went, okay, cereal's good, eat it because it's breakfast, it's great. Yeah. Now when we start questioning this stuff, it's wild. If we could have known this, like your kids, if we could have known this our whole lives and just even been 50%, imagine what would have happened. Like at least we know this is shit, whether you're going to be tempted or you're going to be young and partying, whatever. But what the foundations are. And I think that's amazing when the kids start getting actively aware of what is ultimately food. That's huge.
But it's great when it's coming from the parents, because that's where it starts from.
Yeah, my kids saw me big. They saw me big. They saw me drinking. They saw me stressed out. My son my oldest was 6 months old when I got shot. And I drive around a little scooter and stuff like that. And I've been with them. My parents have been married 8 times. So the consistency of having parents in the house, I know has been a real big thing. And I've been able to try to do it as much as I can, and I saw it in the hood. I've seen it in rich areas, divorced families. It's killing us because these kids, unfortunately, a lot of them are just lost little souls, man. They just need guidance. They need mentors. I see what an influence I have on my kids. A couple of things I did when I was drinking, things I yelled at, they shot me in the face with a Nerf gun. So I lost my cool. Right. But, you can't shoot a guy that's been shot, so, and I feel guilty of yelling. I think I threw the thing in the garbage and made a big old spectacle of it. And I'm not the only one with Nerf guns. It's like the number one thing triggers a lot of cops out there, these damn Nerf guns. So get them out of the house. Yeah. Cause you're playing, you're getting your heart rate up, and then the kid shoots you in the face and you're like, whoa. But anyways, my relationship with my wife, obviously, once I got rid of some of the, it was really like short and quick tempered. I'm still like that on some level, but overall, I'm a lot better, especially with the drinking out. I'm no longer just riding this roller coaster of emotions, and I know what triggers me. I don't feel like
you feel like you're more in control now.
Yeah, and a guy that any vet or anybody that's seen any type of combat or dangerous situation, you're in a whole new realm now. I no longer we ain't just gonna fight because we disagree. I fight to win now. I fight to kill. And that's another level. That's why I keep myself out of these confrontations. I don't get into it. I try not to. I walk away. I'm like that kung fu dude walking the earth.
Like that's ultimately what clarity, wisdom, and controlling yourself does, right? You just know thyself. And I think that's something that's so undervalued, especially in the keto, carnivore, low carb space. When somebody's brain and nervous system come back into balance, you change, and you start to realize I was the same way. I was a radically emotionally driven my whole life, and all of a sudden this calmness came over me, and it's like, but this is
that was a big one for me, because I don't know if you know much about rugby, Eric, but I used to play rugby, and when I used to step on the pitch, I was like an animal. Like, we were hooked on caffeine, we were hooked on a lot of food, and we just wanted to go out on the pitch and kill people. We didn't give a shit. Like, we used to break people's hair, and straight after the game, we still had that aggression. So we used to go out to clubs, we used to go out to pubs, and we were actually going out to start a fight. We were actually going out to start a fight. The amount of times I got in trouble, but with the police, was unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. I'd say every couple of months I had the guards at my door. saying to me that, okay, you assaulted this person. When I look back at it, I'm ashamed at my behavior, literally ashamed. But I didn't know any better, because I was being looked after by the top coaches in the rugby association. So these were telling me what to eat. These were saying to me like, oh, you need to prioritize carbohydrates. We were getting told that we were taking in around 200 to 300, even 400 milligrams of caffeine before we stepped on the pitch. Like, honest to God, we were getting bitten on the pitch and we wouldn't even feel it. I mean, we come off the pitch like bloodied. We'd have all bumps all over our faces and we wouldn't even feel it. We'd jump in the ice pads and we were like, okay, we're ready to go again, because we had that adrenaline rush. We were just like, okay, we just can't get this out of our system. We just want to continue doing this for the rest of the day. It was really, really bad. So I can understand exactly where it comes from, the police force, especially in I can understand where the PTSD comes from and the anxiety, because, and I see it in my country at the moment as well. In my country with the police force, they're severely overweight, and you can see the stress that they're under. They're under enormous stress, but none of them are being looked after properly. None of them.
We got to get Keto Five-O over there.
Absolutely, we need you over here doing your retreat.
We could use a little Keto Five-O in Canada. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think that's, and it's funny how we all relate this to a diet, like how drastically it changes your brain, and how the healing, what healing does in a broad, huge sense. Like, it can affect all society. Like Mark was saying this our last podcast on Sunday. Like, if everybody just went carnivore for 90 days in the world, everybody, it would be amazing what would happen. Like, the diabetes is pretty much gone in 90 days.
Shut the world down.
Yeah, right. And a lot of companies probably going out of business. That wouldn't be a bad thing either. I want to, if you don't mind, Eric, I want to circle back to the toxin side, like the mold, the stuff. Was that Dr. Ovadia that sort of directed you into that? Because I've done a lot of research into chronic inflammatory response syndrome caused by mold and toxins. And I think that's a missing link with a lot of people that are stuck.
I think because I took a deep dive too. I was like, well, where am I getting this mold from? I know in Florida, all our houses were filled with mold around here. So I was like, if you tested everyone around us, would everyone test as high, or is it specific to me and my condition and the factors that caused everything? I do know the MTHFR gene. I got one of them. So it's like, I do have a problem with detoxing, sometimes getting rid of stuff. So the molds, going back to molds, I think it was a lot of the food I ate, a lot of fast food, you eat, if your chicken's eating moldy stuff, you're going to freaking eat the moldy chicken. So I think my vest, just we wear polyester all the time for the most part, unless you're, one of those smooth little detectives that's like on TV and you're sweating in that plastic or that, petroleum based clothing all day long. And my vest, and every cop can say this, if you're in South Florida, any heat, you would get mold patterns on your freaking vest. And we take it outside, you spray it down. Here, let me take some freaking, some toxic, spray it down and put it back on my body, right? And, you get a new vest every 4 years or whatever it is, 3 years, 5 years, But my vests were always just fucking moldy.
Yeah.
And I didn't think much of it. I used to get rashes on my back and just weird stuff that I go get removed by your basic doctor, would go in there and charge you. And I never knew that I was, probably suffering from those kind of toxicities, but I don't really know if it, I was in the evidence room for 7 years, right? Well, guess what's one of the most moldy places in our whole PD?
No doubt. Dank,
I'm breathing in all that stuff. So that could have been a factor. And then they moved a new PD, so now that old one's not around. So I can't even go back in there and say I'm going to do a test sample.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I don't know where else it could have come from except my diet, the environmental. Unless there's mold in the vaccines I got growing up and stuff like that. I mean a lot of beer. I drank a lot of beer. I had a kegerator in my house. So I mean,
that's a lot of this thing about bioaccumulation. Like, we have no idea. Like, this is the stuff you can't test. Like, we can test for it, but I mean, how it got there, how are you going to do your whole life? Like, and we have no idea the possible damages. And I mean, I think all of us, like, open-minded, once you start like digging into this stuff and not really being afraid of where it might lead you, it's all possible. And that's the thing where people, you know, it's like I've talked to people about, have you looked into mold? I've never been exposed to mold. I'm like, oh yeah, right. As you're drinking that Molson Canadian beer that's batch made from, you know, God knows where. And
glyphosate and all that stuff, man. You know, I mean, I think I got poisoned a lot of my issues, you know, and getting back to the calcium score, a lot of that healing was happening, or that higher score was happening as I was healing. Yeah. So it could be a contributor to why it's so high, but it could be a good thing, right? Yeah. It didn't, you know, according to the MESA heart score and all that of having a heart, you know, attack in the next 10 years, I'm at like 33%. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's a 1 in 3 chance, you know, but all the other numbers are good. So, I mean, anyways, the mold, I think, was huge. The Lyme disease was an interesting one because my son got diagnosed with it in 2023, and it wasn't any ticks or anything. Even though we're traveling around, you know, we're pretty, you know, we look at our kids and we're aware, we're involved parents, and we didn't know where it came from. I'm not saying it's related to the thing that they had that shut the world down.
I'm ready to put on my tinfoil hat right now.
Yeah, like, but I have seen some stuff, you know, and, you know, my mom is Cuban, and her family did come from Cuba in the 60s where they allegedly spray. And so, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, whether it's genetic or not, you know, and I know once I went low inflammation diet, all my Lyme, you know, once in a while I have a flare up, you know, in the knee, but my son was the interesting one. He was the one that we were floored. We didn't know what was going on with him. And we thought he had Marfan syndrome or some stuff. We're looking at like all kinds of genetic testing. Yeah. And then a naturopath doctor said, well, based on him, it was moving around and locking him up in different spots, like his hip, his leg, you know, his jaw. And she's like, it sounds like Lyme. Get him tested for Lyme. And sure enough, we got him tested, and he tested positive. So we would have gone antibiotics. They said it was rheumatoid arthritis. They were all misdiagnosed in this poor 8-year-old kid, or 7 at the time. And it turned out to be Lyme disease. And once we cut out the sugar a little more aggressively, you know, or you can't have the honey like you used to, you know, you're drinking it like an alcoholic. And he got through it, you know, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we had Miranda. It was Miranda, Mark, I think.
Yeah.
She had Lyme, Alpha Gal, and Rocky Mountain, whatever that one is. All from ticks. And she was not supposed to be eating red meat. She ate only red meat, and it all went away, which was, you know, it's pretty wild.
Ooh. Don't let that out. They're going to make her miraculously disappear.
Yeah. It's
eat your way through it.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm curious to know, like, where, you know, when Lyme disease, you know, I've got a little bit of a conspiracy side of me too. And it's like, where did all this come from? I mean, you know, I
think we go back to Germany. There's a whole deep path to this stuff, man. But anyways, that was some of the things that we're showing. You're asking about the mold. The mold's still like 100%. I can't say it was that house because we moved out of that house. We were living in an RV, traveling around. We were all over North Carolina, Tennessee, up to upstate New York. Yeah. Did we get something from there? Whether it was, you know, I know every time we come to Florida and we get around the Canadians that come down for the winter, we get sick. Oh, yeah. Been over taking that jab the whole time, man. And it seems like we get that secondary effect from it almost every time we come to Florida for the winter. Interesting. It's just, I hate it. I come here, I'm like, here we go.
Us Canadians are model health, really. Like, I mean, it's just.
I'm not saying every one of you, but the ones like in the camping world.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, it's not good. I mean, you know, we all know this. We see the grocery stores, we see the public places, and it's people are laboring for breath, man. And it's just. And circling back to the mold stuff, people don't realize if you've had water damage in your house ever, you could be exposed to it. And, you know, we have no idea what these new building practices, what is, you know, they say water repellent or water resistant. What's happening to the water? Is it really going away, or is it just absorbing? It's really freaky. And it's just another side of, the next level where you start to go through. And I mean, I think a lot of people we see especially in the carnivore space, and I'm sure you've helped people do this too. They have these amazing, miraculous turnarounds in health, but some people get stuck. Some people, it doesn't happen. And I think these are really important conversations to look into this stuff: mycotoxins, mold, exposure to all the radiation and forever chemicals that you can't really test for. Someone telling you that they don't have any problem with plastic as they're drinking a water bottle. It's like, okay.
I was going to say water was I was a tap water kid growing up here in South Florida, and it was all that fluoride BS, the school fountains, everything I drank had that crap in it, and probably a lot of other stuff. Right. So who knows? Is that where the aluminum came from with the mercury, or to come from deodorant?
Yeah.
The arsenic, my mom's a homicide sergeant. It was actually kind of funny. If you guys ever want to see my mom's character, she's on that show Griselda on Netflix. They got a character on that show that is after my mom's career.
Oh, right on. Oh,
yeah. So it's pretty wild. So I forgot where I was going with this.
Arsenic.
Oh yeah. So my homicide mom is my wife's like, yeah, and he tested positive for arsenic, and she's like, why would he test positive for arsenic? She's looking at my wife like, are you fucking killing them? And I think that's another thing that was part of the soil. It's in brown rice. What's brown rice turned into? Food. All McDonald's, when everything you get that has brown rice in it. Yeah. I was a kid eating Pop-Tarts with my cereal. Yeah, this is great.
Well, maybe I'll get your take on this. Right now, I just saw something on social media this morning. It popped out, and they're recalling. Was it Pizza Pops or Pop-Tarts? One of the two, for like heavy E. coli. That was it. It was Pizza Pops with E. coli. And they're saying how many people got affected. And they did a full recall on these Pillsbury Pizza Pops. And then they did a comparison with the jab. And they're like, this got recalled and this didn't. And they're telling you that this is safe. It's pretty wild. So,
wow.
Yeah.
When I was a cop in the 2000s, when I started right in 2001, that's when the opiate crisis was about to really catch fire. So my whole career was nothing but drug overdoses and McDonald's drive-thrus, old people dropping dead left and right, Alzheimer's, dementia, everything exploded in my 20-year career, especially in South Florida. I mean, we looked for old people that couldn't find their way all the time. Unfortunately, we'd find them in lakes dead, or they drive a car through an intersection. And it was just not a good time. But as we're doing these investigations and, your poor old guy passes away in his place, you're seeing all the amount of medications that we have to document in a report. You got to turn into evidence. You don't want the grandkids stealing all the freaking, narcotics that's mixed in. So I remember writing all the time and my hand cramping up. All these weird, and I'm like, this is what's killing all these people. And I wasn't even thinking pharma is evil. And then we started busting a couple of pill mills, where we found doctor pill shopping. And then we had massage parlors with these dirty doctors. And it just turned into, I hate those guys and I am coming for you. If I can get RICO laws on all those pharmaceutical companies, they need to go to prison because they've had the evidence that they're killing people. And they let it slide for profit. And they know it. And all those houses that no one occupies, all those neighborhoods, they're all invested, whether it's stocks or some. They all got blood on their hands, man.
I'm from
go ahead, sorry.
I'm from Vancouver, man, and there is a fentanyl problem here, and it ain't Canada, right? And it's really, really freaky where all this money is coming from. Nobody can afford a house in Canada anymore. Nobody can afford, but yet there's buildings going up with nobody living in them. I wonder where that is. Yeah.
Same here. Same problem here.
Yeah. Maybe it's a clinic for Somalia or something. They're trying to help people.
Well, they got the cash, right? Like they just leave with whatever they want, right? Oh my Lord.
Well, now these files came out and everyone's in hot water, from Peter Attia.
I saw your post on that. Maybe we could talk about that.
Let's go into a little bit deeper into that.
Throw some shade to the Peter Attias. What the hell is that? I don't know.
Mental, crazy.
Well, you always have someone you talk to a couple thousand times that used to be as a rapist or something. Hey, $60,000 a year though, or whatever he was. I heard he was making off of Epstein. So
wow, Jesus, all for what is it? LP Appleby. ApoB for his big claim.
All I had to see was the one quote where he said, "Women or girls are low carb," and it was just what he had said in it was just, and I'm like, this dude,
unbelievable.
So, they got their hands in everybody. They got it in everything: institutions, food, beverages, politicians, government, churches. They got everybody.
And it's funny because people say, "Oh, just get over it. It's no big deal." But when it is a big deal. Like it is. We just want to know what's been done. And now look at this. Like the Drive podcast, Peter Attia. I've always felt that he's very arrogant and sort of as a matter of factly doctor. I listen to what he says, but I'm kind of more turned off by how he says it and how he's so it doesn't surprise me that he's dealing with these elitist freaks and nothing seems to surprise me anymore anyway, but it's creepy.
What do you think, Mark?
It's honestly it's extremely worrying in my opinion. If this is the people that we're listening to, and then these stories come out, it just goes to show you who we're actually listening to.
Yeah.
That's why some of these events where you get together and you're all hanging out with people like us, and we're all like kind of like-minded, and we know that the key to thinking straight is usually nutrition, right?
Yeah.
And we can all at least have sensible conversations.
Exactly.
Cool, and we can disagree, be like,
there's nobody shutting you down on these podcasts, whereas these people would. These people shut you down straight away.
They've been shutting me down. I mean, YouTube and me don't get along. TikTok and me don't get along. It's Facebook sometimes. Now, me and Facebook are dancing right now.
We're in the same boat, my friend. Like, it's funny how many times I think most of our conversations between me, Mark, and Peter for this podcast is they took this video down. Damn it! Like, what the fuck is going on? You say the big C word, but getting back to the Epstein files.
I mean, can I just ask one other thing? What does a PhD even mean in this world anymore? You know what I mean? Like, this is what we hear. Like it's all we have all these health advocates, all these health coaches all over the world they'll always jump on this wagon that I have this and this and this. You have all these amazing credentials. You can have as many credentials as you bleeding want. We're still in a massive health crisis, and you guys are not figuring this out. This is what it comes down to.
Wow.
It's not working the way we've been doing it.
Never has worked. I mean, how long are these companies in business now? Well over 100 years now, 150 years. Honestly, and we're still listening to the same bullshit.
And if Peter Attia, he's sort of known in the metabolic health space. He's like, arguably a big influencer. How many of the big corporate food SEOs are in those files that we don't know their names? That would be an interesting. That would be an interesting deep dive, and I'm sure it's riddled. So all the people with big food saying that they're not that bad, big pharma, man, this stuff goes deep, and I don't think it's just proof they're not on our side for sure.
100%.
Oh, the FDA is involved. Freaking Fauci, anyone that got a freaking pardon is probably in there. So
yeah. And what are your thoughts? Being down south for me anyway, being in the States. Of RFK and this big shakeup. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. I love how he's pissing them all off. You'll see. What was it? Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren was trying to give him shit about vaccines not being available to everybody. I'm like, you freaking witch. Yeah. This stuff is poison. It's never been shown to be ever effective. You're just part of the problem. And I think the food pyramid, we'll see. What are they going to do? Flip it back when everyone's healthy in 2 years or 3 years?
Right. No doubt.
We're sorry. We want you sick and stupid. I think this is to stay because a lot of people are going to follow these guidelines.
Yes.
We've been out there, marching, doing this. I know people have been doing this since 2015, 2014. We're all part of this big movement, but this is just going to at least make enough of a little bit of a difference. I'm not saying I agree with everything on there, obviously, but it's a start in the right direction.
But you can clearly see that these people still have their name all over it, because when you look at the saturated fats, it just doesn't make any sense. Wow. And this wouldn't have come down to RFK Jr. I can guarantee these corporations, these companies would have been like, okay, if we're doing this, because I think it's only updated until 2030, if I'm
Well,
not
it's
correct.
every 5 years they put it out.
So they can change it whenever they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Climate,
So
they'll be like, oh, it's hurting the climate. You know?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
There's gonna be something like, oh, we've decided broccoli is bad. We grow too much of it. We need to grow wheat. Ridiculousness.
Well, hopefully this takes Bill Gates down, though, because Bill Gates, this dude needs to just disappear. I'm tired of him. I just love that meme of him getting hit in the face with a pie. I put that out there as much as I can. He's a scumbag. How this guy ever got in control or any influence, he needs to go down. He's terrible. All those organizations that Trump's getting us out of, get out. Let's reset.
Absolutely, 100%. Team Trump all the way. That's what I say.
I just hope like, people can keep their wits about them and just see why this has to be done. Like Bill Gates, we can talk about, but if you understand why we're talking like this, because he's so, I'm going to say it, he's evil. Like he has nobody's health in mind. He has nobody's, and I think he's a gopher for, whether you want to call it the Rockefellers, like I said, the tinfoil hat, but it's the systems. It's the systems that are, that I hope get taken down. I mean, Nina Teicholz actually, like, she changed my life too. Like when I read her book and all these, it was like these ahas were going off. But, even like she says in most of her lectures, it's like, we know because we're digging into this, but people see these things and they act on it. And so the guidelines, just shifting it a little bit towards the greater good, people will see it. And, they don't have to read the 500-page document that comes with it. They just got to look at that picture and go, oh, I got to eat that, which hopefully becomes more available because, it's changed our lives, which is.
The two films, I always throw this out there to people that really made a difference with me was The Magic Pill and then also Fat Fiction. Those two started my journey, and then I went through the rest. I went through the rest of them. Yeah. But those two were huge, and I was able to meet because I saw Doug Reynolds in Fat Fiction of Low Carb USA, and I actually emailed him, and we had a conversation. He started my whole podcast.
Awesome.
Weird, because he invited me on his show.
Wow.
So I always give a shout out to those two movies because at the time I needed it. I needed to hear that information because I was, man, what do I do? Regular doctors. Do I start, thinking about my buddy that passed and he had stents put in? Do I start looking at stuff like that? So you never know what will do it for somebody.
100%. Because my first one was Food Lies. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
That opened up my eyes. I was like, oh my God, like why don't the world not know about this? I was like,
my
oh
wife's
my God.
an angel. She came along wanting to do natural childbirth, and I was like, oh my goodness, because nobody does that. And she's like, well, my grandmother had 10 kids. It was all natural when they were traveling from Uzbekistan through Turkey and Saudi Arabia. All this crazy story. Yeah. And then we learned about the medical system and having babies. So that was a little bit of an introduction. And like, why do you guys do that? Why'd you yank the placenta out when we asked you to keep it in there? Yeah. And always did. And that was the beginning. And then she's the one that's like, you're not doing statins. You're not doing this. So you got to have a good mate with you, somebody that's along. And if they're not buying in, you got to get them on board. Because one of the hardest things I have to do with clients and people I coach is getting the rest of the family on board.
Totally. Partners and family. Like you take a couple steps forward to lead the way, but you need to, like, they have to realize that this is like, it's deeper than just.
I was going to say, are we only an hour or we go longer than that?
Whatever you want, man. Like we're,
I'm just going to say one of the retreat programs I do for first responders is Cops and Campers. And we're having our 5th event this summer. And Dr. Robert Kiltz and Sally Norton are going to be there this year. So if you want to learn about oxalates and carnivore, you don't have to camp there. You could just swing by the day. It's this summer. You can follow me and I'll be talking about it. But
when is that on, Eric? When is that on?
July 9th through the 11th in Ithaca, New York.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
We have cabins. We have you can bring your RV. Sometimes we can rent an RV for you. We have a live band. We do a lot of campfire therapy talks. We go on hikes. We have cornhole tournaments. We've done a documentary that's on YouTube back in 2022. It's self-funded. If you want to see what it's all about. But we got fire, we got veterans, we've got nurses, everyone's there. We got regular people that are mingling with us, and it's
Awesome.
been a really good way to introduce this world to my world, because a lot of these guys are like, I don't want to, whatever, but they see me, they start talking to these other people that are very knowledgeable and influential, and it makes a difference. And then every year I get somebody, hey man, I lost 40 pounds because of that conversation we had last year.
Amazing.
So that's really, and it was all because a campground tried to kick me out for my flag back in 2021. So it turned into this whole movement. Yeah, that's another thing. If you Google it,
Whoa.
Cop with flag getting kicked out of campground. So it was a wild tale, but we started a nonprofit out of it, and cool. It was a bad situation. And, I did lose my cool in the video with the guy telling, that's out there. I didn't hide it like they did the Epstein files. It's out there. Yeah. I did lose my cool, but I didn't hurt anybody. And I made the best of it. And that was part of my healing too. I saw how I reacted in a stressful situation, and I don't like being in the red like that.
Yeah.
So it was an eye opener for me too. And like I said, I started this nonprofit. I got a lot of help. A lot of people are helping me out. We're trying to make it regional and go to a lot more different places. We've only had 9 different events in Atlanta. We've had one in obviously Ithaca, New York. So it's been great. Anyways, that's what I'm doing. We're trying to get guys out there, get them healing, get their minds right so they can enjoy their retirement, because most, over half of us die within 5 years of retirement. Because the stress on the heart, I'm not taking away from any other career, just my perspective. Every day that alert tone goes off, you don't know what you're going to, and that's continuous.
Yeah.
Is it a cop shot? Is it a baby not breathing? Is it a car accident? Is it somebody just didn't listen to their radio and they're calling them and they're not listening?
Yeah.
And then you get up here, oh, it's John, he just wasn't listening. Okay.
Yeah.
Come back down. You do that over 25, 30 years, you're killing yourself. And that's what I realized, that it's not worth those last 5 years, when you're hanging on to that pension to make those last few dollars. Are you going to kill yourself with doing that?
Well, I think a lot of people don't I'm not minimizing anything here, but they underestimate the nervous system taxation, that fight or flight banging, redlining the whole time, not being able to understand it. And we have no idea how much things affect the individual. I mean, people can be resilient, but your body might be saying something different. And I think that's something that's
I was reckless, man, looking back at a lot of judgments I did, not with like arresting people and making stuff up, but with my actions afterwards. Like you were talking about playing rugby, Mark, and you were still on that high. We would get done with a search warrant, taking bad guys down, and what do? We're going out. Yeah. Just like you see in the movies. And then some guy's trying to, he gets into a fight with a guy because he's talking to his girl. Like all that stuff happened. And you know what? We drove home.
Yeah.
And we all know who does it and who doesn't, and, that's one of the things that we are hypocrites about. But the problem with the drinking is it's accepted in our world because it's the only escape guys have. They don't let them smoke a joint. They don't let them do mushrooms. They don't let them do, you could take a prescription. Yeah, but then you got to tell your department, and nobody tells their department. So now you're driving around on your freaking Xanny bars.
Wow. Wow.
So there's a huge problem out there, and that affects our judgment. You're not eating right. You're on medications. You're drinking too much. You're stressed out, and then now you get in a tussle with a guy, and you lose it. Mm-hmm. Maybe you hit the guy a couple more times, and now you're on the cover of CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was probably on the opposite side of things as far as drugs and alcohol goes. I was, the other side of the law, and it was the same thing. I thought I was fine. I thought I was clear. I thought I was okay and clear until I got sober and got clear and was like, holy shit, out of control. And it's that's crazy.
Well, how many cops do you know that are divorced? We start womanizing. I want to do search. I want to do SWAT now. Oh, you need more adrenaline? Okay, cool. How much more? And I've had cops like, I could write a freaking movie script on some of the stuff I've seen because you can't believe guys are doing this, and it's everywhere, every department. And I know it's the fire department. It's probably, I'm sure the stock market has their issues, and it's just crazy, when you get that adrenaline fix, you need it, so now your regular cop job's not enough. Now you need I'm going to go to strip club tonight. Even though I'm married. Why are you going to strip? Why? So it's unhealthy, bad decisions we end up making a lot, you know, because we're still high and feeling the emotion and we're not taking care of ourselves or managing stress.
And this is why we see most relationships break up as well. I believe this is a massive reason also, because this is why they don't find each other attractive anymore, because one person could go down that dark route. They could end up doing something that they shouldn't be able to do. But it all starts on what you're feeding your body. Because I've had this conversation with counselors in the past, and they're trying to talk to these people and give them the information about how to get back on track. But I'm like, surely you need to look at a little bit deeper than this. Why did it get to this stage at in the first place? If these people are eating like processed food on a regular basis, they're eating Chinese takeaway, because this is what I hear all the time. Because I work with couples, and I hear this all the time, that they're getting takeaways at the weekend, and then after the takeaways, they're having arguments with each other. And this is how it starts. This is literally how it all starts. And then about 2 months later, these people are not together anymore. This guy is going off to strip clubs, or he's doing his own thing, or he could end up doing something, then he ends up in prison, and he doesn't get to see his kids anymore. Like, it's really, really bad. Really, really bad.
Wow. Yeah. And then you throw in the job that you're trying to protect people, and all that stress magnifies by 1,000. That's crazy. So I'm glad you're a voice of reason. And you know what? It starts with conversations. And unfortunately, a lot of people out there don't like to get uncomfortable with conversations. They don't like to talk about what's real. And, you know, I think these conversations are not only essential, but just, you know, we should be able to talk about stuff and not be ridiculed or blacklisted, or, you know, we're all human. We've all had to deal with a lot of stuff. And some of us, obviously, in different situations, way more than others. And, you know, if you weren't here, Eric, these people, I'm sure there's been quite a few people that have had these turnarounds that you've been directly responsible for, because you had the courage to start speaking about this stuff. And that's, I think that's very important.
Yeah. One of the things I would tell guys is, I found out later on there was a lot more guys from that department that started seeing the psychologist that I saw, that I fought workers' comp with. So it opened the door. So at least they didn't tell me who, you know, that's all private, you know, but he would say, yeah, there's a few more guys that have come through now. So you got to seek the help, and it's okay. You know,
absolutely.
You're not supposed to see some of the stuff, you know, that you're forced to see out there, you know, and it built over your whole career. So it's okay to be a little bit messed up after 25 years going, why am I struggling? Well, that's normal, bro. You know, you've lost.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, Eric. It's okay to ask for help.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't hide it in. If you're going through it, like, talk to people. You never know. Like, when I put up a video every day, I'm putting it up and I'm saying to myself, this just helps one person. Just one person. If I have a motivational speech that I do pretty much once every month, I'm saying to myself, if this impacts one person's day and it makes them a little bit happier, my job's done.
Yeah, you ain't the only one going through it. You know?
Absolutely, 100%. We all go through it. We all have our ups and downs, regardless
Whether
of the
it's
situation.
like you get frustrated with the person that walks in the grocery store and then stops at the door and doesn't move out of the way. It happens. It's okay.
Absolutely, 100%.
Pass them and keep walking.
For me, it's lottery tickets at gas stations. Like, when there's like a bunch of people and someone's doing 9,000 lottery and you're like, really? I mean, I
just need a lighter. I just need a lighter, dog.
And now I just laugh at myself watching this, how I used to handle this situation. It's like, you know, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Eric, how are you for time? We want to.
I'm good, man.
Okay, I love it. That's good.
I mean, I'm trying to think what other we've already done the darkness, you know, the light. We could talk about the light, I guess. So my wife was into this tiny house show, right? Back when I'm doing keto, she's watching, you know, let's put a tree house in the backyard shows, you know, let's put a shipping container and weld them together. And I'm like, this lady's crazy. I'm supposed to be living the dream, right? Jet skis, boat, big house that kills me in my 60s, And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, man, I really think we should downsize. Like, you could just retire. We could just hit the road. And I'm like, let's drag our house around. I'm like, what are you talking? Like RVing, right? This is 6 years later, 6 years ago. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, I think we should do it. So we went to a couple RV shows, and I'm like, I don't know. Well, during that time, I got an email, and this is a whole side. It's going to get us back to the RV. I got an email from 23andMe in July of 2019, and it said I always get relatives. I was looking at my Cuban history back to Spain, and my dad's side back to Vikings and all this craziness, and it's pretty interesting. So it says in the letter, sometimes I get cousins and stuff like that. I'm like, I got a Cuban cousin still over in Cuba. Actually, I can look them up now. We might take them back so I can go visit Cuba now. So it said, hey, you don't have to respond to this email, but I was adopted at birth. I know nothing about my birth parents. And I recently did 23andMe because I was curious about my genetics and medical and stuff. And I came back and it said that we're half brothers. Not only that, we're both cops and we both live in Florida. So I thought I was being scammed. All right, you're gonna ask me for money now. You're in a jam in some Tijuana jail or something. So we end up calling each other's departments, and it's legit. It turns out it's my older brother. He's a year and a half older than me. Wow. I guess my parents had me at 19, so I guess my dad was busy at 18. Okay. So this is before the Air Force. So he knocked some lady up. He never knew it, my dad. So make friends with this new guy. It's like aliens just dropped the clone down. He looks more like my dad than any of us, and I got all these other siblings through all those marriages. And I'm like, man, I've been the big brother all these years and you show up doing none of the work, So it was a big hit. I got to call my dad, say, Dad, where were you in the fall of 1967? I locked him in, like a good homicide cop, right? I locked him in at the location, the time, and it was a nice thing. Dave, my brother, had both of his adopted parents had passed away. And he had nobody. So he was just curious. So he found this whole new world of us. He found his birth mom. We were able to track her down through 23andMe. It was a really cool story. I mean, she died of cancer a year later after he found her. He had two more sisters on that side. So it was a wild story. But guess what he's been doing 10 years? RVing, right? So he took me camping for the first time. We rented an RV, had it taken out to like St. Augustine or maybe it's Cocoa Beach or something. And I was camping with my big brother that I just met. And we ended up doing Fox and Friends. We were on Lester Holt. We auditioned for The Amazing Race. It was a wild time. Right before COVID. That was right before it. And then they shut it down. They hated cops in 2020. They're flipping cars. So we got locked out of the show. But it was a really cool time. And I started RVing because of him. Wow. He was like the final straw. So we got an RV. We hit the road in 2020. We traveled around and, we were homeschooling our two boys. They were still small. So it was manageable. And we met so many friends for life all over the place. People from different walks of earth. You know how it is. You go to other countries or wherever. It's such a different experience to get to know people outside your circle. Yeah. And obviously I was able to do a lot more of those keto carnivore places, hack your health and all that stuff and just meet guys like you. And then social media started picking up and it was just like, I was turning this whole Keto Five-O thing, which is awesome, but I never anticipated. I was not trying to get on social media. I wasn't like trying to sell products or anything. And now it's just I'm helping more people now than I ever did as a cop. And I helped a lot of people as a cop. Yeah. I was a good cop. I didn't do things dirty. I try to be as honorable as I could. And I'm doing the same thing with this new world of like, dude, I wouldn't eat that, but if you want to, I'll be real with you. I'm not going to bullshit you. You're going to eat, you're going to drink, you're going to do something, you're going to cheat. It's going to happen. Yeah. But come back. Let's get you straight again,
So when you're going around the RV, like how do you just go or do you have a sort of plan? Like, how does it work?
Well, Thousand Trails is a camping membership where sometimes you can stay for 21 days. You got to switch every 21 days, go to another campground. They were the ones that suspended me for 2 months back when I call it Flaggate. Yeah. And I ended up getting 4 different campgrounds open up their and said, hey, bring your flag, your RV, and your family. You're staying with us. So they covered the next 2 months for us, all these different campgrounds. It was freaking awesome. That's why I started the whole nonprofit out of it. Yeah. But just, we wanted to see Niagara Falls that year. So we went straight up. You know, I didn't know we were so close to New York City that they were going to have a problem with a police flag, you know?
Wow.
But we just would say, my mom's in Tennessee. She retired from Miami and then went up to Tennessee. So we're always kind of going that way anyways, you know, see grandma. And went up in the Carolinas, and then we've gone all the way up to the UP. We went through Michigan. That's my wife's favorite. You know, that was insane, going up to Mackinac and all the, you know, we went all the way through Wisconsin. We haven't gone out west because, you know, they're crazy out there.
Yes, that was general.
And that's a full commitment to go out to Utah, California, Oregon. You got to be out there a couple of years. You know, you just can't go rushing through that. You know,
it is beautiful for sure. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest is beautiful, and the Rockies, like all that whole. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it's hard, man. We've had blowouts. I mean, I got to one campground and one of my tires is gone off my RV. Just gone. I didn't even feel it, dude. My Ford F-350 dually pulled it. I mean, he didn't even feel it. But that's quite the shocking feeling. You get to a campground and one of your 4 tires is gone and you don't even know it. I'm like, well, where did it end up? Hopefully it didn't end up in someone's freaking windshield, right? So, I mean,
no kidding. Jeez.
But that's another thing. Learn how to drive on the road. You know, keeping things slow. You know, you're carrying your whole house with you. I hear the police cars and stuff. I was so nervous driving. I was practicing at the mall by myself with the trailer. Like, oh, I got to learn how to do this. You know.
As far as food goes, so how do you sort of go about with like?
All right, so you got to use the apps. You got to find your milk app or whatever, so you can find your goat milks. You got to use different groups like grass. Like right now, it's a lot easier to find some of this stuff. But back in 2020, 2021. You could find some searches, but farmers markets, we'd find out where the farmers markets are. We'd ask the locals. They say, you got to go to, you know, Thomasville. That's better than Johnsonville. And you go to Thomasville and you meet the grass-fed farmer or whoever's selling the meats or eggs. And you're like, hey, can we come to your farm? Do you ever do? And if they say, yeah, come on out. Well, now you're going to be able to get it probably wholesale for the most part, because you get over there, you learn about the farm, you see if you like it.
Yeah.
And then they like to share it. Like a lot of the small time farmers love that you're interested.
Totally.
And then next thing you know, you get a dozen eggs, you know, for like freaking $5 instead of paying 7 or 8. And you know where they're coming from. You know, with my son, the youngest, we got to make sure the type of eggs he eats doesn't have soy or corn.
Okay.
Because he has a reaction to it. Not a bad one, but if he has it too consistent, and when he has a regular, you know, wild chicken running around, he doesn't have a reaction.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And just his little body's so specific that we can tell. So anyways, you learn a lot of cool stuff that way. We order White Oak pastures from Georgia. They have a veterans discount, you know, and we get it sent to where we're at. Sometimes you're waiting. You're like, man, they said it was Friday at 8 and it's like 9 o'clock and you're waiting at the front for this delivery. But we make it work, man. It's about our health, right?
How much stock do you keep? Is it pretty much town to town, like farm to farm, or do you have
an extra freezer? We carry a freezer with us, not a gigantic one. I mean, we couldn't put a whole body in it, you know, but we can get about a quarter of an animal in there.
Okay.
And then we have the inside fridge and, you know, like end of the world talk. It's always like, man, we're just going to have to throw something in here.
Yeah.
Like grab some cow off some farm and throw it in the back of our toy hauler.
It's funny how freezer space becomes like that's the underlying thing for me, because like the first time I had a horrifying experience. The first time I bought a half cow, I lost it because I went away for the holidays and the freezer we lost power in the house. And when I got back, it was like it was like Dexter with these bags of meat and blood, and I was crying. I was like, I just spent this thing. Like it was probably one of the worst things that's ever happened to me in my life. But it made me understand that it's like, okay, you got a freezer, you need a generator, you got to have a backup, and if the world ends, how much are you going to take? It's interesting how the School of Hard Knocks teaches you things, but it was heartbreaking. That whole half cow. I mean, I think I had maybe 2 weeks worth of meat and the rest was gone. And I was like, oh, that was just deflating. So I can't imagine, you know, having that happening on the road where you're like, we need to have, so you got to be always thinking about it, right? You got to have your stock.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit more like, I can go to any grocery store, like a local food line or something. I can find carnivore. You know? But my wife's a little more strict, and she'll look at things and be like, nah, I don't want to feed them this. And then I'm like, yeah, all right, maybe I shouldn't eat it either.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? Like that's
she doesn't do pork. That's one of the things. I love pork. She doesn't do a lot of pork. So me getting pork into my house sometimes, I don't have to sneak it. Well, she don't let me cook in the RV. No bacon in there because I destroyed it one time. Bacon grease, it gets everywhere. What do you think?
It does. I mean, that's kind of the maybe if you want to call it like somewhat of a carnivore curse. Like, I mean, man, people walk into my condo or they want, and it's like, it smells like bone broth, baby. Like it's, that's pretty funny.
That's one of my go-tos every morning when I have my coffee. I pour some type of protein bone broth in there with heavy cream.
Awesome.
And, I was a cop for 20 years, so I got to have a little stevia that remind me of the old Dunkin' Donuts toxic coffee I used to have. Yeah. But I never ate donuts in 20 years as a cop. Never did. I always thought I was going to get caught like eating it and turn into a meme, like.
And so, do you guys
cry face?
Does your family? Do you guys eat plants ever? Do you go to like if there's a farmer's market and there's some fresh vegetables? Do you ever eat that, or are you guys pretty strict?
My wife will do like eggplants. Sometimes she'll do like she makes her own sourdough bread.
Yeah,
and
I saw that actually on your Instagram, your sourdough pizza. So I was kind of curious.
Yeah, she'll make that. And I'm trying to think, we'll do cassava pasta she gets from some, she orders through Vitacost and Thrive and stuff. So there'll be sales that are going on, but most of the plants that we do have in it, it's not that avocados and blueberries. I mean, I know it's a plant, but that's more of the fruits and the things. Yeah. We don't do much greens. We don't do, we do some potatoes. We do some yucca. She'll throw in, different potatoes. It could be red potatoes or yams or something like that. But maybe once a week, we'll do fish and rice. She'll do a little, because the kids like their sushi. So she'll do a little bit of rice for them. I don't do the rice. I feel it now. Yeah. If I have any rice now, it's instantly blow up city, boy. Get ready. I'm taking off.
I mean, it's just crazy. I'm the same way. Like, I mean, I feel the difference in the potatoes, like new potatoes, little potatoes, russet potatoes. Like, I feel like they're completely different in my body. Some like cause a little pain in my foot, and it's so subtle, but it's like, wow, this is real. And I do okay with white pressure cooked rice, but if I just boil it, it goes crazy.
Yeah, so we pressure cook it, and she'll do that. And like, I just got over kidney stone, dude, a month ago. First one I ever had. Worst pain of my life. Wow. Everyone that's had it knows about it. I don't have to get into it, but for people, I had an ultrasound done in 2017 because when I was really heavy, I had these fat deposits going on. It felt like little lumps. I didn't know what was going on. So like, I was pregnant. They put me in a freaking chair and they put gel on my belly. All right, Mr. Reynolds, rubbing my big old belly then. And they also did my kidneys. They wanted to do the whole back of me also. And they found a little kidney stone. They go, hey, just so you know, you got a kidney stone on your left side, It's way back in 2017, and then 2026, it came out, and I got it. That's another thing, and I think it's a.
Well, it must be the carnivore diet, then, Eric. It must be the carnivore diet.
I know,
right?
It was actually the flu. The flu pushed it out, but it was a great experience. I named it Rocky. It's a little boy. We thought it was gonna be a girl. We had Pebble. But no, so don't be surprised. Part of my whole detoxing thing, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. And I don't know if you guys, if you go from keto to carnivore and you're dropping the plants, the oxalate dumpings that can happen with your body, and purging because your stomach bio is changing. So get ready. And it's still continuing. It's only been 2 years since I quit drinking, and I'm taking a course with Dr. Boz right now about the brain, and you're able to see how long it takes you to heal after drinking and drug use and concussions. And I'm like, man, I drank since I was 18. Yeah. All the time. Yeah. Not every day, but every weekend. Yeah. And then as a cop, every day they calm down, right? So my brain, must have been so many. You probably pick it up like a bowling ball, reach in there and roll me down the aisle. But I know I'm healing, so there's been a lot going on emotionally, There's been some depression up and down, trying to figure out life in general. And then you start thinking about your own immortality, you know, and then you got a CAC score of 5,600 that nobody has. You're like, oh my God, and is today my last day? You know, but, you know, but I get control of it. You know, if I wasn't, you know, mentally stable, or at least, you know, I got the support of my family and I got friends and all that. I mean, that circle has helped me a lot. Even
but when you mention healing, Eric, you just need to look at Michaela Peterson. She put up a video there last week. I mean, she's been doing carnivore for what, 8-9 years, something like that.
8 years.
And she was
something like that.
8 years, and she was strict every single day. She couldn't eat any other foods because it would have had a major effect on her health. But now she's in that position now where she's fully healed. It looks like she's fully healed. And now she's there able to experiment again. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
Well,
yeah, like I had some steak fries the other day when I had a steak, and they were awesome. But I just know I won't eat like that for another freaking 3 months or something.
Yeah. But I think, you know what, you've mentioned a lot of things there that people, for one, people assume healing is easy. For two, they think that it stops. And it's quite often the purging, the body's releasing trauma things in its own time. And I mean, I remember like I was like deep into my Kundalini yoga practice, which is very breathwork, meditation, movement stuff. But what happened was I started purging. I couldn't even stand the smell of myself. And this was like 3 years into my carnivore journey. So I thought it was done.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There was for about 3 months, I could not even tolerate and I was like, what is going on? And I realized that this is deep stuff that's like purging toxins and poisons. And it went away. Like it was like one day it was like, I'm worried about stepping in public. The next day, 3 weeks later, gone. And it was like, holy shit. And I think that's what, luckily wasn't painful for me in that situation. But I mean, all this stuff that we just assume carnivore heals everything. Well, I think that process is everybody's different. And these are things that we got to purge and eliminate. And I think the body being safe is huge.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest one for me was I struggled with an eating disorder all my life. And I didn't realize that it was a food addiction. I had no idea it was an addiction. Hadn't got a clue. But I struggled all my life with that, and not one person in this country could figure it out. Not one.
Wow.
Not one.
And it sounds like you're still like the body's still telling you stuff, Eric. And that's it's.
Dude, I'm purging so much like trauma. There's stuff back to my childhood. I mean, just. I went to 8 different schools. I was a new kid in the middle of a year. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I fought bullies, and all this stuff. And football, I played 12 years of football, man. I don't think that freaking brain didn't get dinged up playing that, And I played when you didn't say you had a headache. In the 80s, you lose your job,
Yeah.
So another thing that I know we're getting almost an hour and a half here. Look at the past surgeries you've had. I've had a lot of dental work. I knocked my front teeth out a few times. I've had root canals. There's a lot of stuff that they're injecting into your mouth. I've had back surgery, shoulder surgery, wrist surgery. They're knocking you out with medication.
Oh my God. Poisons. I just had
it's all floating around your body, dude.
I just had surgery, and this was what the dentist said to me. He's like, your gums are bulletproof. I've never seen somebody need so much freezing ever. And I'm going like, okay, sure, whatever that means. And now that I just found out what a lot of this dental freezing stuff is, and you're like, oh my God, this is horrifying. Yeah, it's just, I don't want anything.
Well, my kidney stone, they gave me morphine, extra doses because I was screaming like a girl. And you still got to detox from that. That doesn't just, right, you poop it out. No, it takes a while. It's in your cells, man. So, I mean, all that stuff comes out, and the surgeries is big for me. I look back and I was like, man, all those procedures, my wisdom teeth, they pulled mine out for no reason, just because they said to. That was what they did. Maybe that's why I'm not so smart in like geometry. I'm a little stronger in algebra because I yanked my wisdom teeth out.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm the same way. Like I found out, like they just told me that I had some genetic bone degradation that's now stopped, which I didn't realize why I was having so many dental issues like for the last 10 years before I went low carb and carnivore. And it was like keto. I was keto for 3 months, had my wisdom teeth out, and I didn't feel any pain. None. I was at work that day going, what I've seen people with horror story chipmunk.
Yeah.
And I was fine. And I was like, this is crazy. And I think, you know, all the surgeries that I've had too, I think back now and go, oh my God, all the elective surgeries.
Yeah. And if you got body fat on you, it's going to get stored in those fat cells. So when you purge it later on, don't be surprised your CAC score goes up. Yeah. I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people that have probably gone through what I've gone through and got themselves to lose a tremendous amount of weight. And I want to see what those calcium scores are.
Yeah.
It seems like if you did that much healing, you're going to show some type of higher score than the average person.
Have you, like, because I often tell people too, it's like, now it's the quality of your blood and your arteries. Like whatever's happening, now it matters the quality of how your body is working. Have you ever heard of Dr. Tom Cowan?
Oh, wait, did I just watch something with him?
He's got
more about
another idea about the heart, right? And it's
the heart not a pump? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I just did a reel on him really fast talking about
interesting stuff.
Collateral arteries.
Compensating.
That's what they said happened to me, because they're like, how are you still alive and walking around with it? It's like, well, because I got more blood flow than just those three main arteries.
Yeah. So. And he was saying when they do these tests and stuff, they don't test the other capillaries that are developing, because the body knows how to survive. It's an interesting, like it's like way out there, but it's wild how it makes you start thinking like, and his thing with the pump, and it's like, this is gravity and design. And once he starts going on, it's pretty fascinating.
Man, I'm open to all of it. I listen, like the moon landing. I listen to that stuff. Is the world flat? I don't know. I thought freaking sugar was good. That was bad, So.
Yeah, I was the same way, man. I'm like, nothing's off the table anymore, because, it just keeps, like, nutrition started me down this way. And now I'm just like, mind is open, and it has to be open, and it's one of those things that you can tell, see the people. It's like, shit, I know nothing. I need to know, I need to learn more. And it seems like you're going down the same kind of, okay, let's take this logically and do what we can. I had
a bunch of cop friends get their calcium scores tested because of what happened to me. And I thought for sure it was going to be the job, like all that stress. And then they came back with zeros. I'm like, well, it's not the job.
Yeah.
What is it now? It's got to be what I'm feeding my, and it took what I'm injecting in my body or whatever I was doing. There's so many more factors that go into it than just my diet. Yeah. So like you were saying, there's more to it. Some of your other issues could be Lyme, heavy metal toxicity, or something else that you're not really thinking about that you're still living in.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and that's one thing that it's pretty obvious now, like, under the Socrates model is asking questions, man, just asking more questions and assuming the answer, that could, that's probably what got a lot of people into trouble in the first place. Cause broccoli is healthy for you. Right. Right. Well, Eric, I think, I think this is a perfect time to to wrap it up, man. I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
We'd love to have you back on. Come hang out with us, and we can get
man.
We can get into some craziness. I mean, we're usually live on our actual show is live on Sundays. This is kind of a cool impromptu. We're starting new things.
Oh, cool.
We're just doing random lives, and it's fun to have these conversations with people that matter, man. And I don't say that lightly. Like your stuff, your content, your mission, your everything. It's very necessary, and I think if people would get their head out of their ass and start listening to the people that are doing it, done it, and helping people. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here.
Hey, my testosterone went from 382 to almost 800 just on carnivore. So if you guys are worried about all that stuff, just change your diet, guys. Just try it, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing what happens when men become men. And they start living their lives like
they grow beards and hair. No.
That's what this is, man. This is like I never could grow. I could always grow a patchy, shitty beard,
Yeah.
But since I went carnivore, every winter I grow this because I can do it in a month. And it's like
That's
not
crazy.
itchy. It's like this is like we're pushing Santa Claus here, and it's just hilarious.
I helped my 14-year-old shave the other day because Dad's got nobody showed me, so
Yeah.
I'm like teaching him, and it was kind of cool. I'm like, if you go against the grain, you got to watch out. It's just kind of like it was kind of a cool moment. But yeah, beards are cool, man. I wish I could have had this as a kid. I was shaving my head. I had a flat top. If I had this, I would have joined a band. I was playing the guitar. I probably never gone to college. So.
But it's fun. It's
All right,
interesting.
guys, thanks for having me.
No worries. How do people find you? And we'll obviously, for everybody that's listening to this or on the replay, we will be putting all Eric's stuff in the description. So stand by for that. But let people know, please, Eric, where they can find you and about your retreat.
It's just Keto Five-O. It's everywhere. That's the only platform that's the at Keto Five-O. And also anything with, it's my mouse pad, but Cops and Campers, you can look that up and find out how to, you can donate if you want to. I mean, we do take donations to help sponsor guys that, maybe they just been in a traumatic situation and need a break, or it could be they don't have the money for a camper. Well, we'll help you out, man. We'll cover it for you and your family. So
good man.
It's just trying to get guys there. Let's get you there. Let's get you to the party. You don't even have to talk. You can just sit there, and they're gonna feel it. So we know how it is. We just got to get them there. So thank you. So the retreats this summer, July 9th through the 11th in Ithaca, New York. So, feel free to come up and see Dr. Kiltz and Sally Norton and talk and, just hang out. So
cool. Mark, any final?
No, Eric, it's been a pleasure. I've been very, very eager to get you on now for a good while. You're making a difference in the world. So keep killing it, buddy.
All right, man. Keep fighting pharma. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we'll have to have you back on, and we'll talk.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk.
I do not want to hurt myself. I do not want to, go hang myself in a closet. I'm not into that. So
Yes. We are the meat of the matter. We are live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK and Ireland, 7 p.m. in Europe and Netherlands. Peter is probably gutted because he's going to watch this, and he's usually with us, but he's dealing with some family stuff, so all our prayers are with him. And we are going to be live again tomorrow, I believe, Mark, right? With Dr.
Jocelyn Forden.
Excellent conversations. Really big thanks to Eric Reynolds at Keto Five-O, because we like-minded and a beautiful soul that's in it for the greater good of all of us. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Guys. And we will talk soon.
Speak soon. See you later, buddy.
All right.